listening to the Pasco Podcast with Mike Carballa. Welcome to Season 3 of Pasco Podcast, a series about leadership and public service. We'd like to thank our sponsors, the nearly 600,000 people of Pasco County, as represented by the Board of County Commissioners. It's through their trust and empowerment of our workforce and leadership team that we're able to bring you this podcast. This podcast is designed to help public servants build leadership skills and leverage them for success by sharing the experiences of our peers.
Hi, I'm Mike Carballa, and welcome to our 35th episode of Pasco Podcast. We're proud today, and actually every day, to honor the bravery and courage of Pasco's first responders. These are the men and women we rely on during emergencies, everyday heroes who save lives and make our community better in so many ways. October 28th is National First Responders Day, and we're thrilled to be joined today by two of our newest leaders, Pasco County Fire Rescue Chief Tony Perez and 911 Director Captain Eric Seltzer. Chief, Captain, welcome. How are you guys doing today?
Thank you. Welcome. Thank you for having us. I'm doing well. Having a great day.
Excellent.
Awesome. Thank you for having us. We're excited to join you today.
Yeah, great. And thank you both for just providing outstanding leadership to those in our first responder community. You know, neither of you is really new to Pasco County, right? Tony, you actually started your career here. Eric, you've been with the sheriff's office for a while, but you both recently joined this team here. Can you tell us a little bit about you and your journey to get here? Eric, let's start with you.
So originally born and raised in the Bronx, moved down here as a young adult. Always kind of wanted to be a cop. I originally started the process up in New York, and then some friends brought me down here and got down here and decided, okay, it's time to get going, and started the academy in 1994. Okay. And Pasco was the first agency I signed on with. I originally looked to go elsewhere, but Pasco had offered me a job, and later on, I got other offers, and I just loved Pasco so much. I'm still here. It's been an amazing county agency. The citizens, the support we receive is just unmatched.
Fantastic. How did you end up getting into the 911 gig?
So obviously, I work for the sheriff's office. Right. I think it's 2012 or 13. The county and the sheriff's office joined forces, and we consolidated the dispatch center. Right. And the sheriff's office and the county agreed that the sheriff's office would help run the dispatch center. So I just recently came into running it. Captain Olds was running it prior to me. Yeah. The sheriff had, we change positions every so often. The sheriff moves us around for diversity and leadership purposes. So I wound up here. I enjoyed it. It's a new adventure. Everywhere I've gone over the 29 years I've been with the sheriff's office is a learning experience. So
yeah, you guys are that lifeline to the person on the other end of the phone, and I know that folks they get that call that it's answered. I know it's just that reassurance that your operators provide.
It's amazing. And coming over here and taking over dispatch, you don't realize what you don't know. Right. And for me, dispatch was, I keyed up my radio and somebody answered, right? And they gave me information, I gave them information back. And then you come over here and you realize how much they actually do. It's amazing. Mm-hmm. And I had a staff meeting. I told my managers, supervisors, and everybody, I said, man, you don't realize, and I hope everybody in there that works here realizes how important they are. Mm-hmm. Because people don't call us on a good day, right? Mm-hmm. They only call us on a bad day. And when they call in, we are the first people that they talk to before fire rescue, before the sheriff's office, before anybody. We are the people they are calling and asking for help from. And how we interact with them and how we respond can really set things in a certain direction.
Absolutely.
So it's just so important that from the very beginning, we get it right. Yeah. And we get them the help they need. And then, of course, we are there beyond that to make sure our firefighters, our law enforcement officers are safe, and we're that line of communication.
Yeah. You're that angel answering their prayers, and you're the cavalry coming in here, if you will. Tony, talk a little bit about your journey.
Okay. So originally from Orange, New Jersey. I'm one of 5 boys. God bless my mother. But what drove me to Florida is professional baseball. I was a professional baseball player and ended up in Tampa, Florida. Was done. And I started coaching high school baseball. And I was just looking for a career, right? I was looking for something that was going to give me stability. My older brother was a firefighter up in New Jersey and says, hey, why don't you become a firefighter in Florida? So as I started asking questions, opening up opportunities, I went to the fire academy, got certified, and I came to Pasco County. They hired me back in 1997. And I was here with Pasco County for about 8 months. And then I transitioned over to the city of Tampa, did 26 years with the city of Tampa Fire Rescue. And I was blessed to be able to come back home and finish up where it all started for me and become the chief and lead the men and women here in Pasco County.
Well, we're certainly happy to have you. And you were on full display here this week too for us. And we've been working through a lot of good stuff. But, we've been celebrating National First Responders Day since 2017. So I guess relatively new in terms of a recognition, which I think is fantastic, to recognize our first responders. Tell me a little bit about what that means to you, both personally and to your teams. Tony, why don't you start?
So National First Responders Day, it was all created and developed by the Boston Marathon bombings where the officer was killed. Right. And that's what started the National First Responders Day. But for me, it's about remembering. It's about remembering just all the fallen, the members, the men and women who sacrifice day in and day out. We always start at 9/11, right? That was the big thing. That was the most tragic event, at least in our lives, that we remember these heroes. But here in our local area in the Tampa Bay region, there was numerous officers who were killed, unfortunately, in the line of duty. Curtis, Co-Cab,
I remember
Curtis,
a lot of them growing up in the area. Yeah.
Florida Highway Patrol. In Tampa, we had several line of duty deaths. But it's remembering the fallen and just paying respects to them and not forgetting what we do on a daily basis. Mm-hmm. And just saying thank you, and just saying, let's keep doing what we're doing. Let's keep serving the community. Let's keep serving them in the way it needs to be done. And that's the right way.
Fantastic. Eric, how about you guys?
I think he said it very well. It's honoring those that we've lost in the line of duty, and making sure those that are serving today realize how important they are and the part that they play in our community. Just making sure they know that they are appreciated. I know a lot of times they don't get to hear that every day, right? I will say, I feel like we're blessed here in Pasco County. The relationship we have with our local community is just amazing. I go to lunch almost every day, and I can't tell you a day that someone doesn't stop by the table and thank us for our service and stuff. So I want to thank our community for recognizing that. But it's so important that our men and women know what they do is important, and that we remember those that made the ultimate sacrifice. Yeah. Like the chief said, you go back to 9/11. The 9/12 was a day, right, that everybody talks about the remembrance and how we came together as a community and as a nation. And first responders are the crux of that.
Yeah. As you go up, you both accurately state, right? They're dangerous jobs. They're demanding, both physically and mentally. Can you talk a little bit about the mental and the physical support and safety measures that you guys have in place? Because look, they're people too, and we've got to take care of people. So
I can tell you, we have gotten much better over the years at recognizing the mental health component and how important it is. I think years ago it was tough it up, right? And, you went and had a beer with the guys and you joked and complained. Unfortunately, I think over the years we've recognized how many suicides are related to the job stress. And we've gotten much better. I know at Pasco we have our chaplains corps. We have a member assistance program. We have our CISM teams. So we have several different components in place that we recognize our members need. And we not just wait for them to come and say they need help. When we have a bad call, we have people that actively reach out to them and say, hey, how are you doing? Do you need anything? Can we be there? Sheriff Naco has just been amazing with making sure that our members have the support that they need. Family support network, all those type of things were developed over the last few years. And it's so important that we have that. And, again, I think as a society, we've gotten better at recognizing the mental health issues out there.
Yeah, I think so. I think so too. I mean, you see it across the board, right? You point out high rates of suicide, but even other things like addictions, substance abuse or otherwise, and just the ability to cope. It used to be, like you say, in the old days, the coping was, go get a beer, 2, 3, 4, maybe, but even kind of developing that thick skin, a little bit of desensitization to
suck it up, tough. Right?
Yeah.
That's part of the job. And you got in it and you didn't want to admit you had a problem. You
right.
That toughest, exterior, and you were worried about perception.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we're getting better. I mean, it's still a little bit there, but I think we're getting better and better.
Yeah.
And it affects all of us. And any first responder, whether it's law enforcement, firefighters, we all deal with tragedy, and you don't realize how much it affects you until later on.
It does.
You just become cold to it at some point.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's important. And I'm glad that stigma is going away. Tony, how about you? What about in the fire service?
I'm going to agree with Eric. I mean, that's what it was back when I came up in the fire service. It was, let's tough it out. Let's be tough. We talked about it, but we let it go. Mm-hmm. And I think we've come a long way. We've created an awareness now today to help our first responders. Here in Pasco County Fire Rescue, we do have the peer support team that's actively involved. When we have those critical calls where our members need that resource, we can extend those resources out with our peer support, and also with our chaplaincy program with Chaplain Howie. It's been great.
Yeah.
And we have that resource, but it's there, and we want people, if they feel it, we want them to say something. Now we also have the support dogs now with Elvis now. Yes. We have Joey Coleman now. He's doing a great job. He's going around to the different stations, but it's a resource there for our members. Mm-hmm. And it's a better awareness today than ever before. And we just need to keep improving that. And we need to keep supporting mental health, and we need to keep, advocating for people to speak up, because a lot of times, it's perception, like Eric said, and they don't want to say something because they don't want to be judged. But ultimately, at the end of the day, we need to say something, and we need to speak up, and we need to help our members to really be able to be able to enjoy that longevity with their families.
Yeah.
And but I think it's getting better today than ever before.
Yeah. Well, so you mentioned that in the peer aspect of it, the peer support. I mean, that's actually fascinating, right? Because you're hearing from your own team members that it's okay. So, when you kind of look at that tough it up kind of thing, you're there with the group of guys and gals. And it kind of probably takes it down a notch in terms of how you have to feel about it. That program seems to be working. I mean, I know in the budget, I think that we just got passed, there's some additional dollars and resources that we're putting forward to mental health.
Yes, absolutely. And that's a big win for us. Mm-hmm. Big win.
Yeah. At the 911 center, we have the CISM team and a lot of different components in place. Because again, they answer these calls. They're dealing with so much stress, right? Dealing with everybody calling in crisis.
Yeah.
We deal with having to walk people through CPR, all kinds of stuff that, someone calls in, their husband or wife is having a heart attack, and we're walking people through that. It takes a toll on you. Yeah.
Your teams are dealing with people on probably the worst day of their lives.
Oh, yes.
Absolutely.
So talk to me a little bit about, as a community, what can we do? What can your average, ordinary citizen go out and do to kind of help mark First Responders Day here? I mean, is this something that we can, should we, raise money, give thanks, volunteer? What kind of stuff can folks do out there?
I think just a thank you. Thank you for your service. I think it goes a long way.
Yeah.
It's nice for people to volunteer, but sometimes they don't have the opportunity to volunteer. But just a thank you for what you do, for what you're doing, and we're here to support you. Because in our climate today, I think first responders, we get pushed on the back end, and we're there in time of need. Mm-hmm. And just a thank you for your service, and we'll go a long way.
I agree with Tony. I'll tell you, when somebody walks up to you and thanks you, just genuinely means a lot.
Yeah.
All those other things are great. Support us, be there to support us, right?
Yes.
Give us opportunity, right?
Mm-hmm.
We make mistakes, right? Don't pass judgment too soon.
Yeah.
All too often that happens. And be supportive, when we need things, try and convince those that make those decisions to give law enforcement, firefighters, first responders the tools and equipment that are needed to support the community.
Amen. Yep.
Amen. Yep. Well, let's change tacks a little bit here and talk a little bit about leadership. Both of you are in leadership roles. Eric, what does leadership look like to you?
So I subscribe to the servant leadership model.
Okay.
To me, that's huge, right? I will never ask you to do anything that I wouldn't do. I need to be willing to roll up my sleeves and get in there with you. That's huge. And just really, as a leader, my job, and I tell people, is to provide you with the tools to do your job, right? To help you make your job as easy as possible. And I tell my managers and supervisors that our job is to step out of the way and get them what they need to do their job and be there to support them. And when they need something, we step in and we help. We provide those resources, train and develop our members, and just be the example. Mm-hmm. That's the big thing. Be a positive example that they can look at and go, okay, that's what I want to strive to be. And we all have to be training those below us to take our job one day, right? That's another thing. As leaders, we should be in a position that where if we had to step away, retire, that place runs seamlessly when we leave, right? That we've prepared everybody for the next level. Yeah,
one of the biggest aspects of leadership is preparing the organization to carry on and continue. And development of people is probably the greatest gift that good leaders can give to an organization.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Train and develop our members. And support them.
How about you, Tony?
I'm a servant leader. I'm going to agree with Eric. I've always been a servant leader. I believe in building that foundation of trust with the group, with the organization, because if I can build that level of trust, then I'm going to establish that level of buy-in. With buy-in comes that lack of fear of conflict. Like we can have good discussion, allow people to speak, right? Develop that culture of diversity in thought. When we have those foundational pieces in place, then we're going to be accountable. We're going to have that level of accountability for each other. And once we have that level of accountability for each other, we're going to be attentive to each other, making sure we're being successful as an organization. And I've always been that way. I've always believed in empowering people to be successful. Wherever I was in the pecking order, rank and file, that's what I believed in. Let's empower the men and women so we can be successful. And it wasn't about me, but it was about them. And that's what I believe in, creating future leaders. And that model and concept that I just spoke about is what I continue to do today with Pasco County. I would never, if anything, I'm going to add on to those tier core values that I believe in. As a servant leader.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's talk a little bit about leadership challenges. So, I mean, every career field has there's always certain circumstances that are a little different. Talk about these unique leadership challenges in your fields and how do you work through them?
So, it's always the trust, right? Trust is a big issue, right? But you have to roll your sleeves up, like Eric said, and get out there with the rank and file. Mm-hmm. Lack of vision, lack of direction, that all comes from not being engaged with your members. Yeah. If we're not engaging with our members, getting down, breaking bread and fellowshipping in the firehouse and just getting to know them and nurturing those relationships, that's where the disconnect is gonna come. So, the challenges for what I see now is direction, purpose, lack of vision, lack of accountability, and those things will truly, truly hurt an organization if it's not what I like to call, if we create the monster, we have to feed the monster. And I don't want to create the monsters because then I have to feed it. So we want to just get in there and establish those relationships, right? What's going on? How can we make this organization better? And invest in those relationships. And those are the challenges we're seeing now, but those challenges are getting better. And I saw it with my previous employer, and I'm seeing it here now. But we work through those together, right? Mm-hmm. We lead by walking alongside with them. And, but those are some of the challenges that I see right now. And, accountability is accountability. We got to have it, right? And, vision and direction. We all want to be successful. Every person that I've met wants to be successful in front of their peers. So how do we do that? By establishing a level of trust, buy-in, fear of conflict, so we can eliminate those areas of direction and purpose. We have direction, we have vision, we're going in that area. So those are some of the challenges that I see, and we're working through them. And it's been a good journey so far.
Well, yeah, you've had a lot in probably about 6 or 7 short weeks there. Yeah. Eric, same question. Talk about those challenges.
I agree with most of what Tony's saying. The other thing I see as a challenge is we're dealing with so many different generations, right? And we have to make sure that we know how to adapt, and not just have a set, this is the way we deal with it, right? We're dealing with the older generation, the younger generation, that in between, and they all subscribe to a different way, right? So as leaders, we have to train ourselves to deal with different generations, different people, and what motivates this generation, and be able to adapt when we're dealing with different people. It's huge, right? Because, we now have the why. We're, back in the day when you were a leader, you said something and everybody was like, yes, sir, we do it, right? People didn't ask those questions. It was, you followed the rules.
Yes.
Nowadays it's, well, why, So we have to be prepared, to deal with those different types of leadership, issues, and be able to address the different types of people and figure out what motivates each one of them.
Yeah, I think we're in a time where I think you've got probably up to 4 generations that could still be working in the workplace, and it's a huge challenge because each generation has different norms that they've grown up with, different ways that they like to communicate with each other, which is another challenge in and of itself, and then just different viewpoints on work and work-life balance and those types of things. I see. I mean, both of you guys have a lot of. I mean, your new recruits are, quite honestly, I saw a bunch of. They looked like they were in high school to me, Tony, and I think I'm getting older here, but they're young, and your new operators are young coming in. So
I don't feel like I'm getting older, and I say, however, yes, we're hiring in these kids younger and younger, and I'm like,
we're asking a lot of them. We're asking a lot of these guys.
Wait a second, they're not. I used to, when I was that young when I got hired, right? Yeah. It's just I've gotten older and times have changed. So I mean, you're right. Just so much, and the other thing is, all of us, we're always dealing with staffing. Another challenge is dealing with staffing. Yeah. Staffing levels, getting people to come into the profession is huge, that have the drive and want to be here.
Mm-hmm. And Mike, I just want to go back to what we're talking about here is, because Eric said something important. We are dealing with different generations today. So as I move around throughout the county and I meet with the members of Pasco County Fire Rescue, and I speak with the officers, I speak with the firefighters, I tell them, humbly speaking, because I truly believe this is what God allowed me to go through, is I've hit every rank in the fire service. So I say, when I speak to you, I change my perspective to relate to you, to a firefighter, all the way up to the most senior captain on the job. So I tend to put myself in your shoes, change perspective, and try to see what challenges you're going through to help you. But with that being said, I also say the captains must set the expectations and roles and responsibilities for the house when you come in to help them grow, to empower them. But I really believe in, if we can change perspective and really kind of get down with them and understand what they're going through, it helps bridge the gap. I know we are changing in generations, but the biggest thing I tell people, you have to help them grow. You got to find out and invest in your people. What lifestyle do they have? What upbringing did they go through, and help them? As we sit here and talk, we grew up blue collar. We grew up hammer, Phillips head,
absolutely,
right? Yeah. Flathead, saw. But today's generation, we understand there's been a shift. We have to help them get there. And that was something, it's getting better. We still have a ways to go, but we tell people, invest in them, change perspective, have them see it from your perspective, and have them see, and you see it from their perspective. Seek
to understand rather than be understood. And if you walk in there with that level of humility of, I don't know it all here with you. You teach me, and then I'll teach you, and here we go.
It's a win-win.
Wonderful, wonderful. So, you mentioned saws. So that always makes me think sharpening saw. It's, since I've got a bunch of Covey references now. How do you guys continue to build on your leadership skills, Tony?
Listening is so important. Actively listening to our members. Communication, and investing time in them. That's how we're going to build it. And if you do those 3 traits, at least I believe, we explain that why, but it will allow them to grow and mature. And I think they will respect it, but we have to be engaged. We have to listen, and we have to communicate with them.
Do you do anything else outside of that? Are there any books you read, or just stuff that you go to kind of help you just sharpen that?
Yes, I'm always, reading leadership books is so important, right? My first book I ever read was First and Last Out by John Salka.
Okay.
And that was my very, very first leadership book. He retired from the FDNY, but great person, man of great knowledge and wisdom. Frank Viscuso, Step Up and Lead. There's been so many leadership books that I like to read. Yeah. One of my favorites, Colin Powell, Wisdom of the Bullfrog. That's another good one if you've had a chance to read it. But I'm always educating myself, just trying to stay ahead of the game in leadership, just so I can help our members grow, help myself grow as well, because I'm always learning. We never stop learning.
No, we don't. Eric?
Yeah, reading the different leadership books is huge, right? You get different perspectives. I always, good to great, go back to, there's so many different books that talk about leadership. But the other thing I like to do is I take every day as a learning opportunity.
Yes. Okay.
Right. So for me, I go out on the floor. I talk to the people that work for me, people I work with, just sitting around like with you guys right now, right? And take in everything everybody says and does, and use that as a learning opportunity.
Yes.
So you got to learn every day, right? So I learn from people's mistakes. I learn from people doing good. I've done this job a long time, and the second you think you know it all and have done it all, that's when you start to fail.
That's exactly right.
So you go and I'll watch somebody do something. That's a different way to do it. And that worked. That's great. So it's just putting another tool in the toolbox, right? We talk about that. And to me, just every day is a learning opportunity. If there's seminars out there, I try to attend them when I can. But it's really just taking everything as a learning opportunity.
Yeah, I like that. Both the formal education and then more importantly the experiential effects of listening to what folks say. Because folks are everyday leaders in everything, and you can always find a little nugget or a lesson in any conversation or any simple act that you see out there.
I agree.
So Pasco County. Guys, we're growing. It's still growing. I don't think it's stopped. No, I don't think it's going to stop. So you guys are obviously expanding and hiring. What qualities are you guys looking for? Let's start with firefighters. What are we looking for in terms of qualities for these new young men and women?
We are looking for men and women who are willing and openly wanting to learn, have a passion for the craft. Willing to make a positive impact in the community, be servant leaders, right? Someone who is willing to not give up when things are going tough, right? When things are bad, we want people to just be a student of the craft. That's our biggest thing. Right. And if they're open to learning and they're committed, we'll teach them the craft. You're not going to learn it in one day.
Yeah, don't do it for the paycheck, right?
Yes,
come in here
it's not about the money.
And really have a passion and an understanding for what it is that you're doing there,
and making a positive impact on the community. And
I agree. To me, it's that hopefully that call for service, right? That drive to want to do it. That they want to help people. They want to be that public servant. That that person that's there for others.
Yes,
people that want to develop into leaders. These are tough jobs, right? Yeah. And if you get into it for a paycheck, or it just never works out. It's about having that servant heart.
Gotcha.
And that's what we're looking for.
So those are that's a great skill set of what to have in individuals. If I'm a young person, or even person that just wants to get involved in that and maybe start a career in your respective fields, any advice you would give them, Eric?
Education is huge, right?
Okay.
We will help you get your education if you come on, right? We have benefits and college incentives to do that, but get your education, stay clean, right? No drug usage, and just be the model citizen. Be a good, we don't expect people to come in perfect, but have that servant heart, have that caring for people,
Gotcha.
Wanting to help, wanting to make a difference in life.
Okay.
And you'll be a good fit. We'll definitely
get you there.
Absolutely.
Tony, what advice would you give a young prospective recruit?
Man, Eric, you hit it on the nail. You hit the nail on the head. But stay focused, stay clean. it's so important to be a student of this craft and get involved with your local communities, be a positive role model, be volunteer. Maybe I know here in the fire service, we have a cadet program for the young 14-year-olds to the age of 21, male or female, those young aspiring leaders of our future departments. You can get involved with the cadet program, and it helps you understand what the fire service is about. And they meet every Monday at our drill grounds off of Shady Hills Road.
Okay.
And for individuals who are looking to become state certified, hey, go to your local college, and attend the fire academy. With the fire academy, you have to attend what's called emergency medical technician. And you have to get state certified in that, as well as the fire academy, and then you can apply. But it's a great career. So it's a career, like Eric said, that we're servant leaders, and you get to make a positive impact in people's lives day in and day out.
Yeah, absolutely. Right there on the front line, guys. Well, listen, couple quick questions for you.
Okay.
All right. A little off script here.
Okay.
Eric, what was your first job?
First job, I was a camp counselor.
Camp counselor. All right. Yeah. Nice. Tony.
McDonald's.
Ooh,
yes.
Wow. All right. One degree away from someone who's at McDonald's. Hey, morning person or night owl?
Morning.
Night. How about that? Yeah, kind of fits here with you guys. Summer or winter?
Summer.
Yeah, you're a fire guy. I like the heat. I like the heat. How about one place you want to visit, Tony, that maybe you haven't visited before?
Spain.
España. Beautiful.
Yes.
Alaska. Never been, but I hear it's fantastic.
Yeah, that's what I hear.
Very good. And I don't know, salty or sweet?
Sweet.
Yeah, got to go with that. Fantastic. Listen, thank you, Chief Perez and Captain Seltzer, for being here today. It was great having you both here, so thank you so much. And special thanks to our media relations team who makes this effort possible. And thank you for joining us for this episode of Pasco Podcast. I'm Mike Carballa, and we'll see you next time.
For more information on Pasco County government, please visit mypasco.net and check us out on Facebook and Twitter.